Here comes Bod. Bod's in bed. He's having a dream. And in the dream, he's eating a large bowl of strawberries and cream. Next morning, he can think of nothing but strawberries and cream. Along comes Frank, the postman, with a letter for Bod. "Morning, Bod," says Frank. But Bod doesn't see or hear him. He wouldn't have noticed if an elephant had been the postman. He's in such a daydream about the strawberries. "That's funny," says Frank. "What can Bod be thinking about?" And he's so curious to know that he can't help following him. They come to Farmer Barleymow. "Morning," says Barleymow. But they walk past without answering him. Bod's so busy thinking about strawberries, and Frank's so busy thinking about what Bod can be thinking about, they wouldn't have noticed if Barleymow had been a scarecrow. "Well, I never," says Barleymow. And full of wonder, he follows them. "Good morning, everybody," says Aunt Flo. But they're all so busy with their own thoughts that they walk past without answering her. They wouldn't have noticed her if she had been standing on her head. "What can they be up to?" says Aunt Flo. And lost in thought, she follows them. By and by, they come to a hole in the ground. Bod doesn't see it. He's still dreaming of strawberries. Frank is so busy thinking about what Bod can be thinking about that he doesn't even notice that Bod has disappeared. He, too, walks into the hole. And Barleymow is so busy thinking about what Bod and Frank can be thinking about that he doesn't see the hole either. Nor does Aunt Flo. Then along comes P.C. Copper. He sees the hole. "That's a dangerous hole," he says. "Someone might fall down that." So he puts up signs saying, "Danger, stop," and directs people away from the hole. Suddenly, he hears voices coming from the hole. "Hello, hello," he says, shining his torch. "Anybody down there?" "Yes," says Bod. "And guess what we found down here?" "Oh, dear. "I give up," says P.C. Copper. "An enormous bowl of strawberries and cream, just like I dreamt about. Come and join us." "I can't join you," says P.C. Copper. "And I can't eat on duty. But save a strawberry for me, and I'll pop it under my helmet to eat later on."
Play, Fred. Fetch it, Fred. Drop it, Fred.
I'm sorry.
Drop it.
I can't.
Drop that ball, you hear?
Look, I can't. I've got this confounded thing wedged behind my back teeth.
I see the trouble. It's stuck. Look, let me just... That's it.
Thank goodness for that. Phew. What are they up to now?
That's all the seeds planted. They should be up in a couple of months.
Yes, dear.
You'll be lucky, mate. They'll be up in a couple of minutes. It's that lot up there get at them. Well, maybe I didn't catch any. I certainly scared them off. You won't see them around for a while. It's at times like this that I wish I could fly. Now, there's a funny thing. I've often wondered what strange force causes those apples to fall down to earth. There's probably a scientific theory to explain it, I suppose. All I know is it gives me the pip. That could be useful.
This could be the stepladder to success.
My big chance to catch a bird. I thought this would be a good place. When I'm up here, they're down there. This could be embarrassing for both of us. I think my best plan is to lie doggo. I've got a nasty feeling I'm out on a limb again.
What's the matter with him?
He fell out of the tree into the goldfish pond.
Fell out? I was sabotaged.
Poor Fred, he's all cold and wet. I'll give him a brisk rub down with a rough towel.
That means her hairdryer is broken again. I think after that I'll settle down to watch TV. Fun with our feathered friends. Oh, no. There's just no escape from the little perishers.
In an antiquated castle, amid mountains raw and peaky, lived a noble Scottish goblin called the Laird of Inversneaky. He was loved by all the ladies and respected by the men, and he had a bonny daughter known as Bessie o' the Glen. On the day we start our story, he approached her and he said, "You're a grown-up lassie, Bessie, and it's time that you were wed. Here's a list of worthy suitors. Each has pleaded for your hand. I have checked them all for title, ancient castle, wealth, and land." And he hastily departed, thus avoiding any ructions, to tell his wife he'd carried out her most precise instructions. Then the girl perused the paper, and each name she turned down flat, for these men were all too boring or too thin or short or fat. As she mused about the matter, a young farrier passed by, and she rushed up to the window, letting out a startled cry. For although he wasn't handsome, he was what she'd like to win, with his eyes so bright and shiny and his gratifying grin. Then she called her maid and asked her, "Who is shoeing father's horse?" "Why, that's Alastair MacLaren. He's the blacksmith's son, of course." With this useful information, Bessie's eyes began to gleam, and she craftily concocted a cunning little scheme. Minutes later, in the courtyard, where the youth was busy shoeing, from a nearby first-floor window came a female voice, hallooing. "Would you very kindly help me? I'd be grateful, sir, if you would assist in the recovery of my mistress's best shoe." He retrieved the shoe and held it just as high as he could reach. Then he found that he was looking at a lovely goblin peach. And his heart began a-thumping as he gazed into her eyes. But of course, he didn't know that it was Bessie in disguise. The ensuing conversation, of a very casual kind, was enough to prove their hearts were inextricably entwined. Bessie ran and told her father that she'd fallen for a farrier, but he pointed out the presence of a stringent social barrier. "It is best that you forget him. We will soon obtain another. It's a shame you ever met him. I shouldn't tell your mother." For a week she sobbed in sadness, and she desperately foraged for a suitable solution in her breakfast bowl of porridge. Then, one day, a strange thing happened. When out walking, Bessie found a tartan tam o' shanter lying lonely on the ground. There was no one near to claim it, so she started back for home, and she suddenly encountered what appeared to be a gnome.
"Ye have found the missing Tommy I've been searching for since noon, and to show that I am grateful, I will grant to ye a boon."
Now, our Bess had heard that Doonies still existed in these parts, who were rather good at dabbling in the necromantic arts, so she gave him a resume of her troubles and her grief, and he took his hat and told her he'd be pleased to take the brief. In the morning, Bessie's nanny got a very nasty shock when she found her charge transmuted into quite a handsome clock. There was general consternation, and the laird got in a state when he couldn't quite decide if he should wind up Bessie's weight. Came a knocking at the portal. Young McLaren, looking smart, all the night the canny Dooney had rehearsed him in his part. "I will cure your ailing daughter. I will free her from these rigours, and her face will have a nose and mouth instead of hands and figures. But when the job's completed, you must clearly understand that I'll have your full permission to approach her for her hand." Straight away the laird accepted, and he swore an oath upon it. So the youth approached the timepiece, and he capped it with the bonnet. With a sound like rushing water and vibrations of its case, the clock disintegrated, leaving Bessie in its place. Now the laird's enlarged his household, and he feels when all is done that he hasn't lost a daughter, he has simply gained a son.
It's Manfred. One warm summer evening, all the insects in the garden gathered together on a quiet patch of ground for a concert. Monty Moth, who was to be the Grand Master of Ceremonies during the concert, had spent a good part of the day with a work party of ants, building a stage from a disused seed box. And now he stepped out into the spotlights, provided by 2 glowworms.
Ahem. Ladies and gentlemen of the insect world, it is tonight my very great pleasure.
Oh, do get on with it, Monty Moth.
It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this concert in aid of slugs.
Aid of what?
In aid, my good lady, of the society looking urgently for garden space. A truly worthy cause, as I think you will all agree. And now to our first performer, who has come specially tonight, all the way from the flower border. Here with some rehesit at stations.
Rested at stations? Recitations.
With some recited at stations.
Recitation.
With poems is Humble Bumble. Oh, bravo. Jolly good show. Come on, Humble Bumble.
Where is Humble Bumble?
I'm here, behind this plant.
Now, just what is the matter, Humble Bumble? All the insects are waiting for you.
But I can't.
Why ever not?
Well, actually, because my costume's missing, and I can't go on half-dressed.
Oh, dear. Well, let's see what else we can find.
Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for this itch.
For the what, old fruit?
For the itch. Jolly tough luck, old chap. Never mind, it'll soon go. Just mark my words. I mean, an hitch with an H. But here now, my good friends, is Humble Bumble.
Louise had dressed Humble Bumble in the only spare costume that she could find backstage and gave him a quick shove out into the spotlights.
Oh, I say, jiggling jellyfish, what have we here?
Poor Humble Bumble blushed with embarrassment as he stood in the middle of the stage wearing a dancer's frilly dress and tried to remember his recitation.
A bee, he flies from flower to flower.
Go on, Humble Bumble.
And works right on from hour to hour. He gets the nectar to make the honey.
And goes to work dressed like his mummy.
Be quiet at once, Manfred. You'll put him off.
I like my job because, you see...
You're quite a pretty, frilly bee.
Manfred Mantis, just wait until it's your turn before being so smart.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the dancing girls of the garden. To those lovely creatures who flit about us as we go. The famishing...
Fabulous.
The flabberatious flutterbies.
I say, the who? Oh. For several minutes, the flutterbies held the insects spellbound with their breathtaking beauty and clever dancing.
How absolutely, positively marvelous. Jolly good show. What a clever lot of girls we have in our garden.
I hope that includes me, Manfred.
Why, actually, yes, of course it does, Louise. You're all so terribly marvelous.
Well, now it's time to see how clever you are.
And now, without further ado, we come to an item we've all been waiting for. The moment of magic from the master himself, Manfred Mantis, who tonight has brought along some special tricks to make us all marvel.
Make us marvel.
To make us marvel at his super skill.
Oh, jumping geraniums. Monty Moth, I told you to miss me out.
Come on, Manfred. Can't have you trying to pretend you can't do magic.
Well, you see, it's like this. I haven't actually got all my magic gear ready as yet. Or, apparatus, you mean? Yes, it's frightful nuisance, old chap. I really don't think you'd want to wait for me.
Don't worry, Manfred. I've just realized it's a long time since you heard me singing my concert pieces. I could sing a few of them while you get ready for your act. I know you'd all just love to hear me do that.
Everyone tried not to look disappointed. They didn't want to hurt Louise's feelings, but they'd all heard her singing her songs many times before, and without a choir to drown her loud voice, it would be almost more than they could bear. So while Manfred went off to collect his apparatus, the concert went on.
Silence, if you please, my friends. We have now the experience of a lifetime awaiting us. All the way from the concert halls of other gardens, we have our own adorable Lady Louise with some sunflower serenades.
Indeed not, my good man. I will sing excerpts from opera.
Excerpts from opera? Not grasshoppers, I hope. Ha-ha! But first, a few notes for Madame Flutterby.
Louise stepped proudly into the spotlights, clasped her hands together high in front of her, and, when all was silent, put back her head and sang for all she was worth. But her friends didn't hear her. They all had their ears covered.
Is she finished yet?
Oh, I hope so. I do hope so.
Jolly good show, Louise. Absolutely smashing song. Eh, chaps?
Oh, yes.
Well now, here at last with his bag of tricks is that master magnifier,
Magician.
master magician, Manfred Mantis. Thank you. Yes, well, it's rather like this, you see. First, I take this flower, and I wave my wand over it 3 times, like this. And then turn around twice, and hey presto, it's gone.
What's gone, Manfred?
Why, the flower, of course.
And what's that sticking out of your sleeve, then?
That? Why, I say, just fancy that, old chap. I quite forgot I was wearing new cufflinks.
Why, Manfred Mantis, I do believe you've been tricking us all. It wouldn't surprise me if you couldn't do 1 drop of magic.
Look here, I say, Louise, how would you like to help me with my next trick? Just to show them I have the magic touch.
Well, I'm not too sure that...
I say, isn't she a jolly good sport, my friends? Now, you sit here, Louise, and I will produce some rather nice bright handkerchiefs for you to hold for me.
If you're absolutely sure, Manfred, that...
Manfred was apparently concentrating hard to make the handkerchiefs appear.
But, nothing's happening,
Do let's have a little more hush, there's a good bee.
When he thought no one was looking, Manfred took a quick peep at a book of magic he had hidden with his apparatus, and began to mumble something to himself.
Woollikazoo, Angelica J, send me some hankies the magic way.
As promised, ladies and gentlemen, Manfred has produced some hankies out of thin hair.
Now, Louise, you hold these at... Louise? Cringing chrysanthemum, she's gone.
But Louise hadn't disappeared altogether. Manfred's magic spell had shifted her high above the stage, where she was clinging to the scenery, dressed in Humble Bumble's missing costume.
Just you wait till I get down from here, Manfred Mantis. I'll teach you a magic trick or two. Just you wait.
But Manfred didn't wait, and it was a long time before he ever did magic in public again.
This could be fun. They've no idea what or who it is, or why it makes music. It's got the animals puzzled too. Magpie's telling the others what's occurred. And how he got his beak bent. Just like that. Ludwig's introduced himself. Ah, Ludwig to the rescue. Something tells me that Ludwig's here to stay.
A town is full of buildings, some tall, some short, some wide, and some narrow. The buildings are flats and houses and factories and shops. They're built in streets. The streets have cars and buses and lorries driving along them. The cars and buses and the streets are full of people. In fact, there are a lot of people in a town. Do you live in a town? Mary, Mungo, and Midge live in this town. They live with Mary's mother and father in this tall block of flats. They live right at the top. There are 8 flats built on top of each other. Mary, Mungo, and Midge live in the flat with the flowers growing in the window box. There's Mary. There's Mungo. And there's Midge. Mary, Mungo and Midge have a large sunny room to play in. A room full of games, picture books and toys. But today they've gone outside to the park. They've gone to the children's playground. Mary is having a swing. Mungo is sliding down the chute.
That was good, Mungo. Go on, do it again.
Midge is sitting on the seesaw. He's brought his flute with him. Midge likes music so much that he's learnt to play a flute. But he can only play one tune. I think he's ready to start.
Hold tight, Midge. Mungo and I will give you a seesaw.
Ooh, look at those big things going along the road. They're gypsy caravans. They're being pulled by lorries and cars. And look, there are more of them over there. The gypsies who live in them paint patterns in bright colours on their caravans. But if the caravans move along the road, how can people live in them? Gypsies are people who travel around from place to place. When they stop, they live in the caravans like people live in houses or flats. Then they drive off to the next place. Why?
These gypsies own a fair. They're going to put the fair up for a few days here, then they'll move it away to another town for a few days, and then to another town for a few days.
What's a fair? A fair has swings and roundabouts. Like the swings in this park?
Yes, but bigger. We're going to the fair tomorrow. You'll see it then.
Oh, how exciting! The next day, Mary's mother and father took Mary, Mungo and Midge to the fair. It was very noisy, and there were people everywhere. Midge had never seen so many people in all his life. They had another look at the gypsy caravans. Most of the gypsies who lived in them were busy looking after the swings and sideshows at their fair. The swings were much larger than the ones in the park. They had a look at the roundabouts. There was a large one for grown-ups. It had horses to sit on, and it played music as it went round and round. Midge liked the music. There was a smaller roundabout too. Instead of horses, it had cars and funny-looking ducks. Midge was very excited and very interested. Mary had a ride on a duck. Then they looked at the bumper cars. They were called bumper cars because they were made to bump into each other. Mary's father took her for a ride in a bumper car. Animals weren't allowed on, so Mungo and Midge watched Mary enjoying herself. Midge heard a man calling out, "Roll up, roll and bowl a ball a penny a pitch. Roll up, roll and bowl a ball a penny a pitch." Midge wanted to know what the man meant. He saw some brown things on tall stands. He watched a boy throwing a ball at them. Midge had to find out what they were. "Mind the balls, Midge. It's a coconut. The boy's trying to knock it off." Midge got away just in time. because with his next throw, the boy knocked the coconut off the stand. Then Midge thought he ought to find Mary and Mungo. But there were so many people at the fair. Midge ran in and out through their feet, and none of the feet belonged to Mary or to Mungo. Mungo was having a game trying to roll a ball into a hole. There were 3 holes. Missed. Try again, Mungo. He's done it. Mungo's really getting very good at this game. Once more, Mungo. Good. Midge was still looking for Mary and Mungo, but still he couldn't see them anywhere. Then he saw another man, a very big man, shouting,
"Test your strength, boys and girls. Have a bash with the hammer and see if you can ring the bell."
Midge stood in the grass and watched. It was very interesting. Every time someone hit the machine with the hammer, a block of wood shot up towards the bell, which was at the top of the machine.
"Come on, try your strength,"
said the man. And while he was talking, Midge jumped onto the block of wood. A boy took the hammer. Every time he hit with it, up went Midge on the block of wood, and down again. It was great fun. It was just like being in the lift at home, only much faster.
"No one strong enough to ring the bell,"
said the man.
"I'll show you how to do it."
Midge looked up. Then he saw that if the block of wood hit the bell, he would get squashed. He jumped off. Oh, just in time. Midge was all right, but he still couldn't find Mungo and Mary. He looked on the swings. He looked on the roundabout. He looked at the bumper cars. He heard someone calling out,
"Hot dogs! Hot dogs! Hot dogs with mustard!"
Thought Midge. Mungo's a dog, but he's not a hot dog, and he doesn't like mustard. Then Midge saw that the hot dogs were really sausages in bread rolls. They smelt so good it made Midge feel quite hungry. But he was no nearer finding Mungo or Mary. Midge looked at the next stall. It was called a hoopla stall. There were lots of things standing on a shelf. There were bottles and bowls. And in the bowls there were goldfish. One of them swam over to look at Midge. "I've lost my dog. Have you seen him, please?" But the goldfish said nothing. Midge didn't know the goldfish were prizes, and that Mary was trying to win one. She had to throw a hoop, and if it landed over the bowl, she won a goldfish. Try again, Mary. Better luck next time. There, you've won a prize. You won Midge.
You're the best prize I've ever had, Midge. We thought we'd lost you.
Midge always turns up in the end.
Just in time. We've got to go soon.
So they had a last look round the fairground.
Then it was time to go home. They soon got back to the block of flats where they live. Mary went with her parents to put the car away. They told Mungo and Midge to go up together in the lift. When Mary got back to the playroom, Mungo was eating his supper. But Midge was far too excited to eat anything. He was pretending he was still at the hoopla stall. I've won! I've won! I've won Mungo as a prize!
Midge, behave yourself. You must never disturb a dog when he's eating. And you're not at the fair now.
Thank you, Mary.
But we can still see the fair from the window. Look. Tomorrow morning, the gypsies and the fair will all be gone. But never mind. I expect they'll come back again. Next year.
Here comes Bod. And here comes Frank the postman, mowing his lawn. Very proud of his lawn is Frank. I don't like letting the grass grow under my feet, he says, as he mows. Aunt Flo, Farmer Barleymow, and P.C. Copper come by on their way to the park. Will you join us, Frank? Says Bod. I've got to get this lawn right first, says Frank. I want it looking as smooth as a billiard table. I may catch you up later. When they get to the park, Aunt Flo loses herself among the flowers. What blooms, she says. What blooms. Isn't nature wonderful? Who's for boating? Says Barleymow. No one replies. Barleymow is not very good at rowing. I'll get some practice in then, he says. I think I'll just drop off, says P.C. Copper. Drop off, says Bod. You know, get it a bit of shut-eye. 40 winks, kip, sleep. Oh, I see, says Bod. Bod gets the bread Aunt Flo has packed in her basket and starts to feed the birds and ducks. But then the big geese march in, pushing the smaller birds out of the way. Manners, manners, says Bod. First come, first served. They start to snatch the bread out of Bod's hands. Let me have some of your bread, says Barleymow. I'll lure them away. But only one goose follows him. Oh, I must have dropped off, says P.C. Copper. Are those geese deserving the peace? I'll see to them. By the left, quick, march. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Bod has no more bread for the birds. Time to go home, says Aunt Flo. Where's Barleymow? Come in, number 4, shouts the boatman. Your time's up. Barleymow is having a spot of trouble with his boat. Coming, he says. Just a minute. By the time they pass Frank's garden on the way home, Barleymow's clothes have dried out. P.C. Copper is there with the geese, and they're eating Frank's grass. They follow me everywhere, even on traffic duty, says P.C. Copper. When they have nibbled the grass short, the lawn is smoother than it has ever been. Well, I'd better be taking these geese back to the park, says P.C. Copper. Can't you stay for tea, says Frank. Look what the geese have laid for us. Soft boiled, please, says P.C. Copper. I must say, they have their uses, gooses. I mean geese.